All right, I am live. Hello. I'm going to attempt to do a quick one, which I say every time. But today I went for theme. I'm going to go with like a girly Spider-Man. It's kind of Spider-Girl, but I did this for a cutesy, like a kind of a pinup style Spider-Man one time. And it came out pretty cute, so I figured I would do that. And I did have somebody say, "Don't you mean Spider-Woman?" And no, I don't. If you know comic books, Spider-Woman has a completely different mask than Spider-Man. So that's just your little nerd FYI for the day. Spider-Girl looks just like Spider-Man, but Spider-Woman has a totally different mask. It doesn't have the webs or anything. So now you know. All right. Cool thing I like about this one is that at the end, after the typical face paint stuff, I'm going to make it have a little bit of makeup on it to make it a little more glammy and get my little hair out of the way. And I like the style of Spider-Man that is on my shirt here. You can see I Love Heroes. Also have it on my phone case. There's lots of cool different quick face paints, mostly for kids that are Spider-Man. And they look awesome, but I like to stay true to that style of Spider-Man. I grew up with that one. I love that one. So I'm going to stick with that kind of a style on my own face. All right, so I still have sleepies in my eyes. I've been awake for a while. All right, so big white eyes, red and black around. I'm going to start with a little half sponge here, and I'm going to use crystal white because it's shimmery. And I think that makes it look a little bit more girly and cutesy. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to skip over the first little bit of my eyebrow and go out from there. If you're worried about symmetry, you can do just one line on one side, then one line on the other side, and it'll stay more symmetrical that way, rather than doing one whole eye and then another whole eye. But whatever works for you. I like the eyes fairly large if you're into comic books. Hey Anna, what's up? I'm so glad you like them. I'm glad you're watching. If you like comic books and toys and cartoons and stuff, you may already have noticed this, but if you don't know much about it, it's cool to kind of take a look. There's a bunch of different artists who do the same characters, so you may find that you're more fond of one style than another. Same thing, you know, Batman, Superman, all of the comic book people. They all probably got popular by, you know, one or two of their first artists, but then there's a ton of comic books, ton of cartoons, ton of movies, so you can kind of pick and choose. As long as you get the same basic, you know, like Spider-Man has big eyes and a web on his face. If you do that and you've got red and black and some people even throw in some blue, then you're probably going to do a pretty decent job. All right, so these are even a little bigger than I want, but I'm going back in with the red, so no big deal. I did do this a specific way. It kind of makes it take a little bit longer. It's funny, this is not even a full face Spider-Man, but it takes me a little bit longer because I try and be a little bit more specific with it. So to make it look a little bit more cutesy girly, I first take my brush. I've got an angled brush. You can see I've loaded it up with red. I like these. They give me a good, I'm sorry, my phone's doing something weird. There we go. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. I just like the points that it gives me. So I'm going to make this like I'm wearing a mask. Not necessarily like I'm the superhero, but like that I'm wearing a superhero mask. Okay. I'm going to go right in the nose there. Make a little U shape. Upside down U. I think those are also called scallops. I don't remember. And now typically I do the background with a sponge, but I do like this finish on it, so I like to do that first because it's kind of hard to get that with a sponge. And then I'm coming back, see how I made it a little sharper there? I need a little bit more paint. Now let's see if I can do that on the other side. Alright, I need a taller chair over here. And doing this, when I do these little scoops, I've got the longest part of my angled brush down. Alright, so just scoop and down. And you can already see I've kind of messed up my symmetry here, but that's all right. Yeah, then a little one and a long one. Hold on, I think I messed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did. You know what? That's okay, because I've got baby wipes. Sometimes people like to get rid of their mistakes when they do videos and stuff. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this live, is because everyone makes mistakes. I've seen some of my mentor painters, some of my favorite painters ever in the whole world make mistakes. The only problem is if you don't know how to fix it or correct it. I think it's important to see people make mistakes and not to beat yourself up over them, but just to figure out what you're going to do to fix them and or not do them again next time. So I'm just using a baby wipe in case you guys don't know this trick. Just wrap it around your finger. It works as a nice little eraser. Alright, cool. And we're going to do that again. How you guys doing on this Monday? My phone keeps giving me notifications, so I can't see if anybody's watching besides Anna. So thanks, Anna. Hi, everyone else, if you're there or watching later. All right, so I'm going to go back and make this point a little bit more prominent, since I sort of fixed it to match the other side now. There we go. And up and around. Now we got a little guy and the big one. Alright, those are all going to get spider webs over the top of them anyhow, so now that there's at least the same number of them, we're good. So you can do two things. If you like working with a brush, you can then outline the eyes with your brush to make it easier and then just fill everything in. I'll do one side one way and one the other. Alright, so I'm just going to, again, using my longer part of my angled brush as my drawing. So as you can see, Spidey has pointy top parts and round bottom ones. And I guess maybe I should be using a different name. I don't know how licensing works and whatnot since we are on the internet. So hopefully this doesn't get pulled after the live part. Alright, so I got really big. Sometimes I like to angle them down at the bottom here. Instead of making this completely round, it's kind of going to be angled from the midpoint of my face here. Angled instead of just starting being round. Also, I like them very close together. That's a choice. Some people will start it at the corner of the actual eye. I bring it up a little bit onto the bridge of the nose. Not too far, but a little bit. Alright. See how I did that? It's maybe easier, but you can also do this with a sponge. I'm just grabbing a little sponge over here, wetting it slightly, making sure my paint's still a little wet. Whoop. And then using the front edge. You can do the same exact thing. If you're painting on other people, sometimes it's quicker and easier to learn how to use the point of your sponge right there, the same way you would use the point of your paintbrush. Same thing. So I'm just drawing up this way. And they're a little more pliable. I can squish it around. It's funny, I'm used to having the mirror a lot closer when I paint my own face. I'm just filling everything in. The only difference, actually, can you see how super dark that is here and how a little lighter that is? If you're going to mix back and forth with the brush and the sponge, that's one thing to be aware of. You can take your sponge, wet it a little bit more, and kind of go over around the edges there, and you'll light up that big heavy line. If you like them, if you like to lay down a whole lot of paint like that, you might want to do the whole thing with a brush instead of a sponge. If you're using it on children, you might want to do the sponge because then they have less paint on their face to be bothered by. And if it's hot out, I live in Florida, so I'm always worried about the heat. If it's hot out, it's less likely to like start sweating and stuff. If it's a thick layer of paint, it's gonna sweat a bit more. All right, now I'm being a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm gonna go back in there with my baby wipe. And as you can see, I've kind of just framed so it looks like I've got a mask on, not like the whole face mask, like a typical Spider-Man face, like a little, I stuck it onto my face kind of mask. Wipey. Get these notices off of there. The rest of it is pretty straightforward until I get to the eye makeup part. It's just, you know, looking at Spider-Man, either comics or, you know, if you don't want to look at it, fine. Some people do a blue in the middle. Make that one go a little more over. And also I can fix that with my black. So I'm going to get a fairly thick, this is actually a number 9, but it's kind of a cheapy hobby store paintbrush. Every once in a while you get lucky and some of the hobby store paintbrushes actually work really well. I'll buy a little variety pack sometimes, and it's usually like, maybe the whole pack's not awesome, but you get 1 or 2 sizes that are like pretty great. So I'm pressing down real hard and then letting up. And I'm really soft, press down. And I like to do it in sections. For me, it's hard to do one whole shape. So as you see, I did the top, I did the outside, and now I'm going to do the bottom. That also helps me alter the thickness in the spots that I want it. It's very thin here, and it's thicker on the outside. A little more water. You guys hear the music again? I'm experimenting. This is 4th video in and I'm still experimenting, so hopefully I'll get it nice and sharp and down pat soon. Go fix that little smudgy there. Unfortunately, that makes it a little thicker up top. That's alright, I can make this one a little thicker too to match. My favorite thing about this is when you get it in the right position, makes your expressions really great. Alright, back to a skinny brush, super skinny. I personally love the way it looks when you have really thin Spider-Man lines, Spider-Girl lines, web slinger, whatever you want to call it, to avoid any kind of infringement. So I'm going to take this little guy and, I don't know if you can see my t-shirt here. There's kind of a little hole in the center. Everyone likes to do this different. Again, I like it the old style. I loved Spider-Man when I was in preschool, which was way back in the 80s. And I really loved the 90s versions of Spider-Man cartoons. I think even MTV did like a kind of cool alternative one. So I like those versions of the webbing patterns. Some of them start right in the middle. Some of them have a really big opening. Some people like to put almost like an X or a star kind of shape. What I like to do, I like to come from the eye things. I come starting in the black. I make a little scallop upwards. Same over here, a little scallop upwards. And then I sort of meet them in the middle so that one line comes straight down the middle of the forehead, and down here it kind of comes around the mouth. If you're painting a whole face, it sort of looks kind of weird going around the mouth, so I typically do this. So it starts up there and goes down like this. And in the middle, I like to do one up top because if I just leave them like this, it sort of looks angry. So I'm going to just go right here, start in the center, scoop out to that guy, scoop out to that guy. Make sense? And now I've got those little scoops, so I know where I'm going to start my webbing. So I'm going to do similar here. I'm going to bring one out and down, one out and down, and then I'm going to connect them. Instead of up here, I did out, out, and then I did a third one. These I'm just going to connect those without adding that one because the line straight down the nose, to me, it looks a little weird. It's kind of hard to paint on another person when you're doing it for somebody else. There we go. Cool. So that looks super weird right now. And honestly, if I thought about it, I could have made it a little smaller. No big deal. Start in the center here. All the way up. Anna says, can you use makeup setting spray to make the paint last longer? I live in Florida. It's hot. Yeah, me too. Don't know if makeup setting spray. Yeah, makeup setting spray works as long as most of them will say, and I know I have one somewhere around here, but I'm not going to go digging. I think it's NYX is a brand that I really like a lot. They have one, I forget what it's called. I think it's like All Nighter or something. It says right on there to will work for any water-based makeup. I'm pretty sure is what it says. There's also Ben Nye has one. That's probably my favorite one. It's called Final Seal. It does kind of give a shine, like not a metallic shine, like almost a glossy shine to it if you use the Ben Nye one. And it smells like mouthwash. People get a little bit concerned if they don't know what it is. They think you're spraying mouthwash on their face. That one's really good. Maron Barrier Spray, I haven't used much. A lot of people use it. It's pretty good, but the makeup setting spray, it works. It's just not as powerful, I guess. Yeah, NYX all night. I love NYX. They have amazing, beautiful colors, and they are not crazy expensive, and they work really well. I have a bunch of different lipstick colors of them. So back to these. If you do them faster, you're going to get straighter lines. I'm sitting here talking to you guys and getting all weird about the camera being there, and I'm not doing it as well. We're going to go with these ones. And now these on the bottom, those little scoops and scallops that I've made, those are kind of your guide, like your X marks the spot, the point marks the spot. So you have a starting place here, and that's your finishing place. Boom. And see how that one's all cute and pointy? I'm going to fix this one. Oh, I thought I was going to fix it. All right, so now you can start from the point here. Just remember, this is your center line. So they're supposed to all kind of look like they're coming from there. So this one, I'm not going to make it go straight up from here because that would be super weird. Where is it going to end? We want them to end here. So they have a little bit of an angle. Imagine there was another one of those little points up top. It would be like right over here, kind of by the corner of my eye. So I'm going to go like that. And they're going to start angling upward. And then you just connect them, and it's just a little C scallop. Let's see if you guys can see this. All right, so if you do the what do they call them, T5? I don't remember if anyone even calls them anything anymore. So if you start out going really thin, you press in the middle, and then you go soft again. See how that's sort of like a moon shape? But, you know, depending on it. That's what my goal is at the end of these little webby lines. And in the centers, too. They're not all going to look perfect like that. And, again, if you're doing this on a child at an event, it's not a huge deal. This is kind of, I wore this for a party, so I made it a little bit more precise, I guess. And I spent forever on it. I spent like an hour, and it's just a half face, and I felt really silly. So now you see any of the things that I kind of didn't do perfectly in my red, I'm totally covering it all up. So I love finding tricks like that. Things where you can not necessarily cut corners, but where you don't have to drive yourself crazy being a perfectionist. So that's just the edge of our mask right there. All right. I'm going to try and do this part quick without talking too much. I need the close-up mirror. One other thing also, since someone was asking about the makeup setting spray, that stuff will work pretty well. Sometimes you're painting, especially if you're doing something that's a little bit more elaborate and takes a little bit more time. Face paint dries quickly, and if you are a glitter person, you need it to be moist for the glitter to stick pretty well. And sometimes if you take a long time on the design, by the time you're finished, it's not wet anymore, so the glitter doesn't really want to stick. If you spray some kind of a setting spray on it, the glitter will stick to that. So sometimes I'll do it just for that specific reason. And you can see there are more of those lines on this side. As I get here, there may just be the very bottom line and one in the middle. The one on top of the nose is the hardest, so I'm waiting till the end for that one. I think you guys make me nervous doing this. My hand is shaking again, and I haven't even had coffee yet. I don't feel nervous, but I guess my body does. All right, now the bridge of the nose, the hardest part for me. I don't know if you guys can, yeah, you can see, okay. So that's pretty much it. Again, like I said, if I would have thought about it, I would have brought this part down a little lower, so it's just in the middle, and this goes straight down. I'm going to add a couple little cute white highlight lines. Again, we're doing a comic book character, and comic books have a lot, they're graphic. So there's a lot of like really sharp contrasting kind of things. So I'm taking a thin brush, just going to add, I'm not going to do every single line, but since it kind of gets a little bit squished up here, the eyes kind of blend with the black of the webbies. So I'm just going to make our eyes pop out a little bit more. See that? I'm going to do the same thing, just a little on the bottom there. Now they're kind of more distinct from our background. If you want, you can go through maybe on some of these little straight lines. Maybe a little. Just don't go crazy. You don't want every single one to have a little white spot on it, because then it's going to start getting confused and just too busy. Alright, so if you want it to be done, you can do this on a boy too. I know I said it was girly. This here, totally Spidey. No girliness to it. I guess the bottom part is slightly girly. Now I'm just going to do, and this is pretty much all makeup stuff, not necessarily face paint. I'm going to do almost like a smoky eye sort of a thing. You can do this all with face paint if you want. If you like makeup, you can do it all with makeup. It'll work. Some people are like, oh, but you can't put makeup in face paint. Yeah, you totally can. I forgot to bring a sharpener over here. And so if you're going to do a big, dramatic glam eye, it helps to put some eyeliner all over the place to kind of stick. You can also use your face paint like that. I'm going to do that. I'll do with face paint since we have it here and I didn't bring my sharpener. So I'm taking a super deep dark blue. And I'm going to line the top of my eye. I am going to stop at the edge. I don't want to go out yet and make a cat eye thing. I might do that at the end, but I don't want to do that just yet. And if you're doing this on yourself, if you're doing it on another person, you can kind of see their crease. If you're doing it on yourself, you're going to have to do this a lot and kind of see, do you see where that got up there? Normally, that's a no-no with makeup, but if I kind of want to find out where that goes right now, so while it's wet, I opened up. That's kind of my stopping point of my makeup, right? So I'm going to make a V kind of connecting the first eyeliner and that. I guess it's more like a CV. I don't know what shape that is, but you see what I mean. A rounded line connecting that. And I'm just going to color it in on the back and the outer edge. Right? Now let's do that on the other side. It's really funny. I wear face paint as eyeliner pretty often because I can't do real eyeliner like I can do face paint eyeliner. Alright, now I'm gonna do that same thing there. It didn't really work as much, but I can see where it was. I'm doing this in blue because Spidey's costume has blue on it, but the mask does not. So I'm just bringing in some of that from the costume. Some people like to bring it in the center or the sides or in their webs. That's totally cool. This is just my preference. Alright, big old crazy eyes now. And then I'm going to take, I have just like a natural colors. I don't even know. This might be NY. Yep, it's NYX also. And I'm going to take a big old fluffy brush. And on kind of a neutrally brown. It is a little bit shimmery. But, and I want to make sure that this is dry first because I'm about to put powder on top of a liquid or even a cream or a cake. Sometimes on the creams it's okay, but I don't want to mess up this brush and get a bunch of wet face paint on it. Pretty sure this one's done, so I'm going to do the whole thing. Starting in the corner, I'm just not going over that line. And yes, I'm going to go over a little bit over that blue that I just did. This kind of helps it blend, like if you ever see really pretty makeup that blends from a lighter color on the inner side to a darker smoky color. You get that by kind of layering them over each other. And yes, you would definitely do that with actual pencil eyeliner sometimes. All right, this one has more of a point than this one, so I'm gonna go back. All right. Not that big a deal. Did I bring a blue in here? Kind of. I'm just going to do it black then. I didn't bring the blue that I thought. So same brush. I'm kind of just putting it here where the crease is, and I'm going to just kind of roundly smush it in a little bit. And then I'm going to drag it up over the top. So pushing and going in a circle. And do the same thing on the other side. Set it on that outer corner. Little pressure in and a little circular motion. And then I'm going to drag it up over here where that top line is. Now this feels really crazy when you do it on yourself for the first time, or even on someone else. It feels like it's way too much makeup, but it typically looks good. It's kind of a step that's you just got to kind of get used to. I don't know the best trick on knowing when is enough versus too much. I typically will take a photo of myself and then look at that, because sometimes what I'm seeing in the mirror doesn't look like what I'm seeing in real life. All right, so I'm gonna take some more blue. I'm gonna just do a little under eyeliner. I would pencil line it. The pencil that I brought over here I didn't sharpen, so I apologize for that. Not gonna use it because it's not sharpened. Just going as close as I can to the water line on the bottom. Now you can see my eyes really pop. Now it's totally Spider-Girl now, not Spider-Man at all. All right, so that's drying a little bit. Now I have a super, super bright, shimmery blue powder, if I can get it open. Oh, not the green. There we go. You want to leave it open while I'm doing the other stuff, because knowing me, I'd knock it down. So I'm taking a little bit, I think it's not quite a paddle brush. Let's see what it says. Doesn't say what it is. Oh, yes it does. Base shadow brush. I'm not using it for the base. I'm going to dip it in my loose powder, tap it so all the excess doesn't come dripping down my face. I'm going to go right there in the middle and kind of just dab, dab, dab. And a little bit of dragging. Once most of that has been dabbed on, I'm just going to slightly drag it a little. So can you see the difference? How that one's blue, smoky now, and that one's a black? Same thing, I'm going to dip it in there, tap all the excess off, dab, dab, dab. Oh, Kitty's getting restless again. I have a crazy 15-year-old cat, so I apologize if you can hear her yowling. She's a lover, but she's a bit crazy. All right. And then I will finish it off. I am partial to blue lips. I like to also use that same, I think I showed you on the skull face, and I think I showed you on another one maybe. I'm going to line my lips. Yes, I'm using face paint. You know what I usually do? I usually use my finger, so I'm going to show you guys that. So I'm just wetting my ring finger, dragging it in the paint. I like my finger shape because it goes perfectly with the little bumps on my lips. It's right about the same size. And you can leave it. I like to do two-tone lips sometimes if you want to do a little bit of red in the center. What I'm going to do instead is that same, I just wiped my fingers off. I don't want to contaminate the makeup with having just touched my lips, and I also don't want to contaminate the wet paint into the dry paint. So taking a cleaned off finger and just right in the middle. It will drift to the rest of your lip. But if you do it right in the middle, it's gonna, oh, I'm gonna use a different finger. I don't want to contaminate stuff. If you do the center, it kind of gives you not quite an ombre lip look, but it's a little darker on the corners and lighter in the center. So there it is. I think that was a little quicker than the last few. Let's see if I can get this off of the stand. I did not bring my mascara in. I would do mascara. You know what? Let's go get mascara. That's the beauty of having this on your phone, right? Let's see. walking into my restroom. Oh, it's not there. Okay, well, never mind. No mascara for today. I recommend you do mascara if you put this on somebody or yourself. So, thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. And again, if you want a suggestion, if you want to suggest something for the next time, I'm totally up for it. I will not be on Facebook very much. I'm taking a little break. I will receive messages. I will receive comments on this video. I will check. Thank you so much for paying attention again this week, and I will see you next week.